Here's a clip of last episode on Behind the
So,
Mic.
as she mentioned, my name is Nathifa Robinson. I have been writing majority of my life since probably the age of 7, 8, I want to say. I started really just mainly like schoolwork. Got invited to do an essay, and I got a scholarship for that in third grade, and then it kind of drifted into creative writing in my preteens, teen stage. I did a lot of poetry, some songs, and started blogging. I want to say 2006, 2007. And I've been doing that off and on over the years, but I got a little bit more serious with it back in 2018. And I started a blog that initially was kind of just going through the day to days of what I was going through personally. However, I recently relaunched my blog and it's more focused now on um, the day to day struggles and triumphs, if you will, with my son and his history of the last couple of years of some medical issues he has been having and kind of going through the perspective of his mom and seeing what he's going through day to day. I also have a video, well, vlogging. I do that as well, where we have a YouTube channel kind of going through like everything from how his progress is to what he's actually going through to just, updates on what's happening and the achievements he has made.
What kind of subjects would really prompt you to really write and really get your heart out on paper,
Um,
if you will?
I won't say subjects per se. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
more of a feeling for me.
Oh, okay.
Um, Generally, like 2020, as we know, was a whole mess.
Right.
So that was one of the things that kind of gave me an outlet, I guess you can say,
Mm-hmm.
because even though I started my blog again in 2018, 2020 was really the time when I just had to do a lot of writing to kind of release what I was going through at the time. I was like just going through the motions from everything that was going on with my son, with myself personally, just,
Mm-hmm.
seeing the world, what was going on between COVID and BLM.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so all of that kind of just prompted me to kind of like get it on paper because I thought that would be the best way to do it.
Right.
Especially it was a easier way for me to express myself too. So
So okay, so one thing kind of didn't quite touch on, but maybe you did a
sure.
little bit in the very beginning when you talked about getting that scholarship, and your mom was
Hmm.
kind of pushing you, saying like, "You gotta do this thing and everything," you
Yes.
know.
Uh-huh.
So please let the chat know what is your heritage and how did that shape and help mold you in your craft, in your creative
Oh,
writings.
sure. So I am a mutt. I am half Guyanese, half American. My father is from Harlem, New York. My mother is from Georgetown, Guyana. My grandmother was from Barbados, actually. So
Oh
I'm a
wow.
little bit of mix of different things,
Mm-hmm.
and my heritage is very diverse. But my main thing was my Guyanese heritage. I grew up with my mom. My dad was in my life, but my mom was my main staple, my mom's side of the family. So everything from, you know, um, just maintaining a certain way of being,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that I look nice, go outside looking nice. You can't
Right.
come outside looking like something wrong with you. You ain't got no owner, those type of things. Is those things that's kind of stuck with me. I'm like that with my son now, and he gets so upset with me. And I was like, if your grandmother was alive and know the things you doing now. Mm. Anyway, the first one I'm gonna read was back in actually 2019, and it's called Hope Deferred. Just to give some context, some of my blogs are Christian based, off of a more biblical aspect as how to it. I guess you can say how it kind of correlates to what I'm going through at the time. So this is called Hope Deferred. I wonder why God has me in a certain season. I'm currently in one I don't fully understand or grasp, and I would love for it to come to a head, or at least understand why I'm in this current season. Lord, forgive my impatience. God told me something this morning. It does not only make sense to me, but it quite frankly contradicts things currently. It is quite frustrating in my flesh for God to tell you something that is supposed to come to pass, and it seems like you are further and further from his promises. Of course, I know his promises are yes and amen, and he doesn't lie nor repents. But God, I have no idea what you are doing. The situation to me is dead. However, God has a way of bringing certain things back to life that we ourselves could never see nor understand. Maybe one day I will get my answer. Until then, I'll continue to seek him and his promises. The ones that are coming to pass, I'll continue to trust and believe in that. The ones, however, that are still in the works, I'll just leave it with you, no matter how difficult it is to me, and trust that, as always, you will have the final say. So next one is more recent regarding, like I mentioned, a lot of things that I'm kind of going through with my son right now, and how my perspective as his mom of how I'm seeing things. So this one is called Vanishing Part One. At times, I felt like I was losing myself, my identity, who I once was as a woman, as a mother, as a person. I couldn't figure out if I was going right, left, or center. I didn't know what was happening in my world. I just felt it all crashing down. I thought this time it isn't a simple bump to his head. This was a lot more serious. And then he had two more concussions after this first. I truly said, what the? It was every parent's nightmare. To see a child suffering is the worst feeling. There was nothing I could do to take away his pain. I would cry at night when he was asleep because I didn't know what to do for him. I was a nurse, a pediatric nurse, and couldn't figure out what to do. I felt helpless. From late 2019 to the beginning of 2020, pre COVID, my son Larry had three concussions, freak accidents, each one causing so much damage to his brain. He couldn't see for a time. He couldn't hear me when I spoke to him except for constant ringing in his ears. He couldn't safely go to school. When he could see, the lights were too bright. And when he could hear, he said everyone sounded like they were talking like robots, very slowly, very weirdly. His whole world didn't make much sense, and mine was turned upside down. I honestly didn't know what I could do for him. So I cried. I got angry. I became stressed to the point of losing my hair. I didn't want to really tell anyone what was going on. I didn't want to hear judgment, ridicule, or even opinions. How can you give an opinion if you've never experienced something like this before? And the ones who I actually let in honestly just listened or didn't get it quite right. I didn't work that year. It was my first time in a long time that I stayed home with my son. The last time I did that, he was a baby. I felt guilty as I said, the nurses, as I saw the nurses risking their lives every day. So I ate like everyone did, but I'm an emotional eater. So I ate my feelings. I cooked new things and cleaned to clear my head, but my mind space was a mess. I knew how to pray, I read my Bible, but I just didn't realize how much more help I truly needed. After several medical appointments, ER and urgent care visits, physical therapy, and occupational therapy, I had a doctor ask me what I'm doing for myself. I said nothing. They will say take breaks, get fresh air, and that sounds nice in theory, but I'm a solo parent. There are no breaks unless someone, family or friends, comes to help. It was a tough road. I finally started really getting in my word, listening to the doctor when she said my blood pressure was high, and she offered me a change in my other medication I was taking, a blood pressure medication and an antidepressant. To be continued.
For the full episode, please go to twitch.tv/bkssweetestmusic.